Okay, I'm going to take a moment here. I've been meaning to make a video about this subject, and I've talked about this almost every single day. But now that the election is over, there's a lot of New Democrats who are walking around saying, what happened, right? You've got lots of new Democrats walking around going, what happened? So I want to make a video, and I want to address the New Democrats, and specifically Jagmeet Singh, directly, because this is what I'm going to clip, and I'm going to put it up. So here we go. Hi, New Democrats. Hi, Jagmeet Singh. I hope that you're actually watching this because a lot of you are walking around saying now, hey, what happened? We were on track to actually win an election here, or win a bunch of seats, rather. Not win an election, but win a bunch of seats, right? And that didn't happen. We walked away with one extra seat, and we couldn't really garner the support of the Canadian people over this period of time. What's going on? What's going on? Well, I am here to break some really, really bad news to you and hopefully give you some solutions. Just before I get into this, please be advised and please understand, I voted NDP in this election. I supported the NDP in this election. I want to see Jagmeet Singh succeed. I support Jagmeet Singh's policies. I think that the NDP should be able to grow and should get into Canadian politics in more effective ways and stronger ways. I feel like I understand why it's not happening, and it's going to be an extremely difficult conversation. It's going to be an extremely tough time for the NDP moving forward, because when I have conversations with liberals and conservatives, which I have conversations with liberals and conservatives fairly regularly, right? You go out to your pubs, you're on the bus, you're getting your haircut, like my beautiful haircut. You have conversations with people, and the conversation turns to politics. And do you know what people say to me? Right? Do you know what people are saying to me? I'm not prompting them. I'm not asking them. They're saying this to me. Yeah, we're just not going to vote for a guy wearing a turban. That's the sad truth about what's happening in Canadian politics right now. That Jagmeet Singh, everybody likes him. Everybody's answering the phones and responding to the polls and saying, yeah, we like Jagmeet Singh, and he does well in the polls, and he's got a high level of support in regards to his likability and all of that, but it's not transferring to votes, and it's not transferring to votes because after they hang up the phone, they look at each other and they say, yeah, but Jagmeet Singh's got a turban on, right? We're not voting for a man with a turban. Jagmeet Singh needs to face this on directly. He cannot simply look at the polls and see his likability and be like, oh, that's going to carry the day. That's not going to happen. If he continues thinking that way, if the NDP continues thinking that way, you guys are going to sit at 25 seats. Maybe you'll get to 30 seats, right, if you're lucky. And that's where you're going to stop, and that's where you're going to stay forever. Because Canadians are not voting for Jagmeet Singh. Not because they disagree with his policies. His policies are right in line, very popular ideas, right? It is because he is a brown man with a big giant beard wearing a turban. And if he doesn't take that on directly, he will never grow the party and he will never win. That's the truth. It's unfortunate. It's extremely sucky. I hate it a lot, and I know you do too. But it's the truth, and that's the hard road for Jagmeet Singh. I have an ad. I think Jagmeet Singh needs to do ads. Here's the ad, right? So you start the ad, and it's a guy like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys, right? And he's got the big glasses on, and he's like, walks to his mail booth, right? And he goes, and he pulls out 3 pamphlets, right? And one says liberal, and it just says liberal on it, and it can say stay the same, right? The other says conservative on it, go backwards, right? And then the NDP, do stuff, right? And the guy looks at the liberals and, oh, well, we're staying the same, and oh, I don't want to go backwards, so, well, the NDP, and he opens it up, and tax the rich, dental care, remove subsidies for oil, and then he runs down the street, right, and he stops by a friend, and he goes, look what the NDP are offering, oh my goodness, it's so good, and his friend just looks at him, gives him a stink eye, closes the pamphlet, flips it over, and Jagmeet Singh's face is on the back of the pamphlet, and they both look at it, and then, pamphlet, back to him, pamphlet, back to him. Then he drops the pamphlet, looks at his friends, go, well, who are you voting for? Then it's a cut to Jagmeet Singh, and Jagmeet Singh just goes, really? Because the sad truth about what's happening in Canada is that people are not voting to tax the wealthy. They're not voting to reduce the subsidies for climate change, right? For fossil fuels. They're not voting for dental care. They're not voting to improve their society in many ways by following the policies that are being promised by the NDP, and they're not voting for it because there's a dude with a piece of cloth on his head. That's very stupid, and that's where we're at. And if Jagmeet Singh doesn't make an ad along the lines of something I've described, he's never going to win. Good luck out there. All right, that's the clip. That's the clip. Yeah. NDP is very stubborn, like most major parties. Well, and honestly, though, this realization is very tough, Matthias. Like, this realization, no one wants to actually believe of their fellow countrymen that the reason people are not following the policies, right, is because of a piece of cloth. Like, that it's, yeah, and I think it's beyond politeness. Like, I think it's beyond politeness, right? It's just sort of a hopefulness, I guess, if I wanted to say it in the nicest way. Like, you could say naivety if you wanted to, but I think hopefulness or a positivity, right? Like, if you're a progressive type and you believe that things can improve, right? You've got kind of a positive viewpoint of yourself and all of that kind of stuff. And it's, I do think that the NDP just don't want to admit of their fellow countrymen that a lot of them are not voting NDP because of a piece of cloth. Justin Trudeau came out in front of us in blackface singing Deo, for Christ's sakes. He came out in blackface in front of us singing Deo, right? Deo, me sing Deo, me sing Deo, me sing Deo. And daylight to come and me wanna go home. And we gave him a government, right? Like, Canadians went, oh, blackface, oh, so terrible, liberal, right? We voted for him, right? And we voted for him again, right? When he's walking around with that Aladdin costume, right? So we will vote for a white man wearing a turban and in brown face, but we're not going to vote for an actual Sikh walking around in a turban, right? Like, that's where Canada is. And the NDP do not want to admit it. They don't want to look at it in the face. And there's a good reason why they don't. I mean, the positive angle is one, which is like, I don't want to think that way about my own fellow countrymen and all that. But there's a second aspect to it, which is that road, that is a hard, long, difficult road. Singing it was unnecessary, Duke? Singing is always necessary, Duke. Singing is a very important part of my life, and I think that singing it was necessary, Duke. Deo is a wonderful song, and I'm not in blackface, right? I apologize if I offended anyone just then. I didn't mean to. Singh's religion wouldn't condone that approach to his campaign, unfortunately. Do you think... I don't know enough about Sikhism to comment on that. You might know more about that than I do, and I do think it needs to be addressed, though. Like, it does. It needs to be addressed, and there has to be some way for Jagmeet Singh to address this issue while also aligning with his values. And that's what I like about the ad, is that it's not a condemnation, right? It's not a direct insult or slight. It is just acknowledging the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is that people are not voting NDP. People are not voting NDP. Like, literally every conversation I have, like, at some point, somebody brings the fact that he has a turban on. Like, it's literally every conversation I've been having. So I don't know what's going on in the NDP. Like, I don't know what conversations they're having or any of that. I can only tell you what I am experiencing, and there's just got to be a path forward where they can have this conversation. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. It's the NDP is going to take a lot of shit for it, but I also think that they're going to gain a lot of respect. And that's what it comes down to, is that right now people like the NDP, but they don't respect the NDP, right? And they don't respect the NDP because if the NDP are not willing to fight along those lines, then they're not really going to be willing to fight along any lines. So it's a tough road. It's a tough road for the NDP, if you ask me. And I hope that they're able to do it. I do. Because I want to live in a society where a man wearing a turban or having a big beard or, you know, being a brown dude, it doesn't matter, right? Like it's not the deciding factor, you know? I want to live in that society where we actually do think along policy lines, where we actually think along these lines of like, okay, well, how can we actually improve the society? Who is saying we are going to improve the society and how? And let's move forward on that line. We'll see. We'll see. Ah.